know about Bigfoot. I mean, we can only make assumptions at this point what a Bigfoot is. I saw something. I can't tell you it was a Bigfoot because I don't know. I didn't, get to touch it or see if it disappeared after I drove off. But there is something that's going on, and it's whatever it is. It's everybody that has run across one has said pretty much the same thing, that it didn't hang around very long.
Yeah, and I think you touched on the point, and that's the whole kind of thing that we're working on right now is we don't know what it is. No one knows what it is. So I think it's wrong to say that it's one thing or another. I think you have to keep all those possibilities on the table if you really want to get to the bottom of this. You can't dismiss, UFOs in the sky when there's Bigfoot sightings. You have to look at all of that as one piece of evidence.
But it's clear that they're contacting people. They're making themselves known to people, and they're not just bumping into them. I think they're making themselves felt, sensed, whatever, intentionally. It's not an accidental. You're stumbling around, and you come across a bear. They're definitely, the contact is thought out in some way. It's purposeful, whatever it is. It's not random. And it's probably, a lot of people are saying, very specifically designed for each individual, the contact. That seems to be one of the overarching patterns that's emerging, that these contacts are very individual in what they do and how people relate to them. So that's the biggest conclusion, whether they're hairy flesh and blood things or some weird alien form that shape shifts. Their contact is very purposeful, and there's no doubt about that.
No, I agree with that. I have a good friend that has told me repeatedly that they see Bigfoot where they live. They live on a base of a mountain, and they see Bigfoot quite often. And again, all of a sudden, like the Bigfoot disappears, their feeling is that they're disappearing in a portal because, again, the footprints all of a sudden will stop in the middle of nowhere. So they have to be going somewhere. But where they went, who knows?
And it's probably pretty clear if they don't want to be seen, they won't be. That they're smarter and capable of dealing with us either by messing with our brain. There's some people that have this idea about infrasound, that they can scramble our brain for a little while so that they can cloak, they can, as you said, shapeshift. They have a lot of tricks up their sleeve that they can mess with us and see how we react and what we do. But by and large, most people nobody's really been hurt or hit on the head by a rock, have they? That
You don't hear about that very often anyway.
No, you hear about the near misses, where a log will go flying in front of them or a rock. A friend of mine who passed away recently, Art Bell, had a guest on his show called Bugs. Now, this is back early 2000, something, mid-2000. And supposedly the guy and a bunch of his friends went out, poaching, I hate to say, and they shot at something, and then they realized what they shot at was a Bigfoot. And at that point, they were so scared, they just continued shooting on it, supposedly they killed it. And then the next morning, they went to try and find the body, and I guess its mate was there, and it charged them, so they shot and killed it. But they said they had all the features of a human, the testicles, the breast, and all that stuff. I don't know if you ever heard that story that was on Art Bell's show.
No, I hadn't heard that one.
No. And what happened to the body?
They were so scared because it looked so human. Now, this is the story. Now, I talked to Art numerous times off the air about the story. He really believed it because the guy sent him a map where he supposedly buried the bodies. But the thing is that that they were scared because they looked pretty much like human, except they were covered with hair and all this. Supposedly they buried the bodies. because they were scared that they would go to prison for murder.
Well, I don't know what to say about that. So, anyhow, can I mention my book again?
Oh, yeah, please. And if you have a website, why don't you go ahead and mention that?
So I actually don't have a website, but I have a Facebook page. It's called the Bigfoot Chronicles Trilogy. It has the first, tells you how you can order it if you look at it. And, you can just go to Amazon and look for Bigfoot Singularity. It would be great if your listeners would go buy a copy and write a nice review for me. That's always the desire of every author to get readership and become part of the conversation, because I think it could become part of the public conversation about the possibility of Bigfoot being of alien origin, which is what this is about. What about this possibility that they're actually alien in some way?
Well, I mentioned like portals. They walk through portals and supposedly disappear. There's been a lot of people that believe that, Bigfoot are connected with aliens. So, at this point right now, till we actually get a body, okay, and have proof that it exists, all we can do is surmise, where they are, what they come from, and what they do, and what they're here for. But I can tell you, till we find one, we can only surmise. But I tell you, your view is very much out there, and I kind of stand by what you're saying.
I think people should open up, and if they open up, I think they'll get the contact. That seems to be the pattern. That if you want contact, they'll find you and start the process of connecting with you. That's just seems to be what happens with a lot of people. Once they get a contact and they're not scared, they'll start having more and more, and you'll start having more paranormal phenomena occur, not just Bigfoot but other things. That seems to be the other finding right now, is that these things all seem to be connected in some way. Things that we call paranormal, alien, Bigfoot, other crypto creatures, that they're all sort of one thing. And maybe that's the best way to study them, rather than study them in isolation, and start gathering data so that you can cross-reference what's going on. And in that way, people might come out of the closet, so to speak, and talk about their experiences, which they haven't before.
Well, it's strange. People are coming out of the woodwork talking about alien abductions and seeing UFOs. I think the same thing. We need to have more people come out and talk about their encounters of Bigfoot or shapeshifters or Mothman, or be it whatever it is, and come out more with it too. But there has been a lot more sightings of, a lot of cryptids coming back out. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Everybody check out his book. Again, go ahead and say the name of your book one more time before I let you go.
Bigfoot Singularity. And if you go to YouTube, you can Google or type in shape-shifting Bigfoot, and you'll see that little clip we have, and there's information there on how to contact Alan if you want to talk to him about these things.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
It does. And Alan and Ronald, I want to thank you for coming on Night Dream Talk Radio.
Thanks a lot.
You guys take care.
You have a good
fun.
You have a good weekend.
Bye-bye. You too.
And bye. So, guys, anyway, what are these creatures? Are they connected with UFOs, aliens, and what do you think, James?
Well, I think they're a biological entity, and I think that they've been so long in the woods. I think they're a type of a hominid, and I think they developed abilities. Maybe they can see in the ultra, with sight. Maybe they've got excellent night vision. Maybe their hair can cloaking abilities. Maybe they can use infrasound for defense. Maybe these are things they've developed just because they've been so long in the woods. They went one way and we went another way. And that's what I think, but I could be wrong. Who am I?
Oh, you're nothing more than a co-host, talk show host, okay? So everything you say is a lie, isn't it?
That's right. Thanks for summing that up for me.
Yeah, I mean, anything to do with radio or TV or news is all misinformation. That's what our president says anyway. So anyway, I don't know. I just know from my encounter, okay, is I saw something that scared me. I don't know what it was because I didn't get that close to find out. I know what it looked like. I know what it smelled like. I could even taste the smell, if you know what I'm talking about, because it was so pungent, burning my throat. I could actually taste it, and it was absolutely disgusting and horrible. I don't. Yeah. It was, and I don't know what it is. I just don't think you're going to go out and go to a campground and go on a trail and you're going to run into a Bigfoot. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think at least the majority of them, if they do exist, are out deep in the woods. They don't want contact with humans. They're doing their own thing. Why would they want contact with us?
Exactly. And, in my opinion, I don't think they're alien or alien-based because why would they go to so much, like you kind of touched on, why would they go to so much trouble to be like Bigfoot and do all these things? I do, however, think that aliens abduct them just like they abduct us. I think that's more of a plausible thing than Bigfoot being an alien. That's just my opinion.
Well, my feeling is maybe they abduct them and use them for doing labor or doing whatever they need. You ever think of that?
Yeah, that's very plausible, too, because I honestly think that Bigfoot is some type of a hominid that is branched off one way different than us. And I think they have different abilities than us that they've evolved or developed over the time. And they use these things to survive because, let's face it, if you're living out in the woods, especially in Washington, in the mountains, and you have no clothes, you're going to be tough. I'm just saying.
Well, I look at it this way, too. I mean, there's been reports of, like, Bigfoot taking a elk or a moose or a deer and just, like, tearing it apart and eating it. They don't seem to be cooking anything. They're just tearing it apart and eating it raw flesh. What's that tell you? The other thing is, if they're more intelligent than humans, why would they be out walking around in the woods and living that way? I mean, seriously, if you're super intelligent compared to us, I hate to say it, you would think technology-wise. You would think about fire. You'd think about building a shelter rather than putting sticks up. That part I don't buy. Out there that they're more intelligent than us and that they're far superior. I also don't believe they give off orbs. I'm sorry. I didn't get any orbs. I didn't get no communication from that thing when I ran across it. It didn't say anything. It didn't say, hey, Gary, I'm going to get you if you stop. I didn't hear nothing other than, the running noise of it running through the woods. That's what I heard.
Right, and I think when you pointed that camera at it, I think it might have took that as a threat. Maybe it thought it was a gun or something. Who knows? Maybe that's why it charged you. Who knows?
I think honestly, James, what happened is it was a big lens. It was a 2.8 lens, which means it had about a 4.5-inch front element. It was a good sized lens, right? If you were there, I got a funny feeling the way the sun was coming down and everything, the way it was situated. Okay, I think probably what happened is when I was looking at it, it got a reflection from the lens, and that's how it noticed me. I probably shined the light from the reflection into its face, and it saw me. And it screamed, and it probably scared it as much as I was scared. And we were in its territory, just like anybody. If you had your own property, right? And yep. I'm talking years ago, you had a farm, and if somebody came on your property, you're not going to just be friendly. You're going to find out why they're there. In this case, it didn't want us there.
Exactly. And who knows, it might have had a mate and some children off to the side you couldn't see also.
Yeah. Well, everything it showed was aggressive. Anyway, we're going to be back in 2.5 minutes. Hopefully we'll have Sam for our roundtable discussion. We'll talk about our Bigfoot aliens or connected with aliens. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with me, Gary.